Welcome in to NASCAR Inside the Race, post Talladega, the only off weekend of the year, and back in a big way. We head to Talladega, 2.66 mile, the biggest oval in NASCAR. And folks, I couldn't be more excited. Why? Because we finished under green. We might touch on the caution in the Xfinity Series race, but anytime it goes speedway racing, all you want to see is a finish under green flag. That's what the fans come for. That's what they got. And it was Austin Cindric who pulled it off, and a little bit of an un-Talladega-like race. So we're going to talk Cindric, how he got the lead, how he kept the lead, and how he won the race. We're going to talk about who had a chance and how it went away. Josh Berry comes to mind. The Toyotas were off strategy. We're going to cover those guys as well. We're going to talk about no big wreck. A little bit surprising, a couple wrecks, but no big wreck. Pit road mistakes up and down pit road. Big disaster from multiple drivers. I'm trying to think what else comes to mind. Really, for me, it was great. I'm on social media during the race. I see so many people that were frustrated with this Talladega race. I'm sorry. I don't agree. I don't know. I'm going to get on my soapbox for a minute. Everybody who hates this fuel savings thing and how the race is being run, I'm okay. I'm not going to tell you what your opinion is, but I couldn't disagree more. I think the beauty of racing is when it's organic. And what we're seeing currently at the racetrack is organic. It's the teams getting smarter, figuring out how to win the race. How to win the race now is to spend the least amount of time on pit road as possible. I don't think there's any way to unlearn. It's the people that want to unlearn aerodynamics, get rid of aero racing and things like that. You can't put the genie back in the box. Now that we know how these guys win the race, that's what everyone's trying to do, is kind of ride around, save gas, leave your green flag pit stop, and then try to go win the race from there. So it's going to be a big show. I got Jeff Burton joining me. I have Kim Coon joining me. We're going to jump right into it. It was Austin Cindric getting the big win. Let's bring my buddy Burton in here. Jeffrey, you and I watched separately together. We were on a text chain as we were watching that Talladega race. I got off my soapbox. So I thought it was a great race. I had no problem with this style of racing. Others do. Where do you stand?
I don't understand who has a problem with this race, and it makes no sense to me whatsoever. I saw a couple comments on social media about, wanting this last pit stop to get out of the way so we can watch racing. Do you not understand that this last pit stop is going to determine who wins the race? I mean, this is a team sport, and it is. For years, we've talked about how important teams are, and now we're actually in a great opportunity at Talladega to show it. I think there's so many cars with a chance to win that it's a little difficult for fans to really understand, and we're going to get into it. How did the two car get out in front, right? How did that happen? It's hard to cover all that on television, but from start to finish, man, I thought it was a good race. It was entertaining to me. It's fun to watch the drivers and the teams try to find a way to make Talladega and Daytona. How do you make that work? And by the way, Steve, you and I have done this for a long time. We've had cycles in which you have to do to win at Daytona and Talladega. Remember the tandem racing?
Oh,
that wasn't something.
Can I forget it though?
Yeah,
I remember it, but can I forget it?
That didn't get created by some people in a back room saying, "Let's do this." That was the teams and the drivers found that and said, "All right, we got to make this happen." And so this is at the core of racing, is that drivers and teams finding a way to win races no matter what it takes. And at the end of the day, what do you got to do to get track position at the right time of the race and then race your guts out to get the race win? I can't imagine what's wrong with that. And the stage ends too. I mean, the stage ends were fantastic, and you can see how important those points are and winning those stages. And it's about track position at the right time. And if it was so easy to do it, then why do the same people continually find themselves in the front? It's a skill, it's an art, and they find a way to make it happen.
I shared this comment because I couldn't say it better, right? It was basically want to give the drivers a gold star because it's up to them, right? They're trying to win the race. They're doing everything they can win the race, but we got all the way to the start-finish line. All right, how do you win the race? Austin Cindric was 25th before the last green flag cycle, which two things. Mid-pack, you can run with less throttle. All right, so as the train's getting pulled along, much like an automotive, the front 5 cars of the engines, they're towing everyone else. Well, when it comes to the draft, the front 1, 2, 3 cars, depending on how wide they are towing the draft. They're breaking the air. They're burning the most fuel. It's not quite as black and white as this, but as the fan, if you're thinking or listening to us on the podcast version, front to back, Second row can save a little more fuel. Third, fourth, fifth, kind of that sweet spot is right there in the middle. 25th, I would say, 12th to 25th, right? You're in row 4 to 7, 4 to 8, and you kind of just, the whole air pulls you around. So 25th comes on pit road, 3.26 seconds. Right here, our friends at Racing Insights, the fastest pit stop of any driver, 3.26 seconds. Rolling time in the mid-24s. That is a absolute fastball of a rolling time. He went from 25th to 1st on the cycle. That's how you win a Talladega. You said it. The race was the pit cycle.
And let's clarify rolling time, because we are going to praise that pit crew and talk about what a great job they did. But it's also Austin Cindric maximizing his pit road speed, getting onto pit road with the right speed, rolling pit road with the right speed, not overdoing it and getting caught for a speeding penalty. So it takes everybody. Austin did his job, which consistently he does. Consistently, the Penske drivers on speedway races have the best rolling speed. They have the best pit stops. They get themselves in position. This isn't anything new. We see this all the time on speedway races. I don't want to say they perfected it, but they do it better than everybody else. And it was Austin Cindric today. Between he and his team, they got it done, put himself in position, and then he did a great job of racing to get the win.
All right, tonight chart. If you're listening on the podcast, what I'm looking at right now, it's called the Pit Stop Matrix. Our friend at Racing Insights prepare. This is one of the websites I use when I prepare for the races. So if you're watching on YouTube, it looks like an eye chart, but very simply, the top line. This is finishing position. Position 1, car number 2, stop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is his day. It has the lap in which he stopped, how many tires, pit stop, rolling. Yellow to yellow minus the pit stop. That's basically what Jeff was talking about, right? So you see he did very good all day. 24.5, 24.3, 25.7 under green, 25.1. This is the one I'm talking about. I'm moving my cursor over it. If you're looking on YouTube here, if you're listening to the pod, I'm looking at the final pit stop. 3.26 seconds with a 24.55 rolling time. There are other good ones, right? We have a 3.5. We have a 3.8. I'm looking at those final pit stops right here. A 3.5, a 4.8, a 4.4. But, I mean, this is what the teams are looking at. I mean, they are into the details that much to try to break it down. And simply enough, that's how Cindric won the race. I mean, well, that's how he put himself in position to win the race.
That's right.
Giving him the credit to win a race on a pit stop alone is probably not accurate, because he also had some great racing there at the end. Let's talk about the last lap and a half. I think we have a little bit of B-roll. Our man D-Lo could put it in here. Jeff, no real 3 wide moves from the 3rd or 4th row. Really, they stayed in line. Do you make that an energy thing? I mean, the bottom's boxed in. Is Alex Bowman there, the 3rd car on the outside, that black 48? Is he just waiting for his teammate to make a move? Like, what are you thinking if you're back there in row 2 or 3?
Yeah, this is really tough, because at this point, there's really nobody that doesn't want to help someone else, right? You've got 2 Fords in the front. You got 2 Chevys behind. Like, so they're not in a situation where, hey, I can't push this guy. It's going to mess up a teammate. You would hope, and I know a lot of people are thinking, well, why didn't Alex Bowman, why didn't he just make it 3 wide and go to the outside? Because he doesn't have the energy to do it. He doesn't have a big push from behind. So you really don't have a choice but to try to push the guy in front of you and try to get that line right there. Both cars end up getting pushed down the back straightaway. Both lead cars end up getting pushed down the back straightaway. About the same, a little bit better for Cindric. But I said it on the broadcast, see those lap cars? That, without a doubt, played a role right here, because those lap cars are giving a little bit of a draft for that 2 car. Good side draft right there. Good side-by-side action, but a little bit of a draft for that 2 car. And that could have been the difference, Steve. We don't know for a fact, but I can promise you this. Damn sure it didn't hurt him.
Here's the onboard right here. This is basically what it looks like. Getting a little bit of a toe. You're on board. I mean, it's so close. The 8 and the 21. As a crew chief, I don't have a problem with it. The 21 had a speeding penalty. He was still in the lead lap. I don't love it. I don't know. I guess, like, when I was watching it, I was yelling at him to get out of the way because I didn't want him to mess up the finish. But then the leaders didn't get there. I hate to come on here and not have an opinion, but that's a coin flip to me. If I'm on the 21 or the 8, I think I have every right to be out there. If I'm a race fan, I was like, man, get out of the way. I want to see the race win. In the end, they didn't have to pass them. As a driver, Say if you're Preece, Jeff, are you upset those cars were there, or is that just racing? Like, are the drivers as they catch them, are they thinking these guys should get out of the way? Because I know a lot of times race fans, even me in the booth, I'm like, these guys need to get out of the way, and you'll hit me and be like, no, they're fine. Like, what you guys as drivers see and understand is a little different than the rest of us. Did you have a problem with those lap cars? Let me rephrase that. Lead lap cars. The 21 was a lead lap car. He was the end of the lead lap. He was not a lap down car.
I didn't have a problem with it, but I would have been okay if they would have gotten out of the way. And here's why I say that. Once they got the one to go, the race for them is over.
Okay, down the backstretch. Take the white, off 2. You know you can't get your lap back. The race isn't going to be extended. You could just pull over and let the pack go by.
Once the leaders took the white.
Okay. Yep.
At that point, maybe, okay, I don't want to be involved in this race. They didn't catch them until essentially really after the race, right? Obviously the draft. So I see both sides of it. If I'm Preece, I'm mad. If I'm Cindric, I'm like, no big deal. You know, I don't have any heartburn about it either way. I would have been cool if they would have gotten out of the way, but I'm also not sitting here saying they should have gotten out of the way. I'm
right.
I'm like you. I hate to not have an opinion.
I'm kind of
both sides of it. I see both sides of it. No big deal from my standpoint.
Well, let's grab the third member of our team today. I see her backstage. Kim, you ready to join us down there? All right, Kim looks like she's happy, coming straight from Talladega. Oh, sorry, put her in and took her out. That was me and D'Lo both trying to produce it once.
Trying to put me in timeout.
So, no, Kim, I like this. We jumped in for like 2 minutes before we went live, and I thought your line was great. You said, who had Cindric as the first Penske driver to win? So the 22, a little self-inflicted kind of all year long. The 12, tons of speed. As you heard in his interview today, another DNF. He doesn't really know what to do to get his luck changed around. Cindric, though, pulls it off. You were there all weekend. Give me your thoughts on the Penske trio and maybe specifically Cindric, who won the race.
Yeah, the more I thought about it, so I said that, I was like, who had Austin being the first Team Penske car to win in 2025? I don't think many people had that on their bingo card. But then the more I thought about it, I'm going to add a caveat. I'm not surprised that Hendrick won at Talladega. Let's set that aside first.
Penske, you mean?
No, I'm not surprised Cindric was the one to win at Talladega.
Okay, yep.
Specifically. Team Penske in general, but I'm not surprised even Cindric was the one, because if you look at this season, he ranked second in laps led at drafting tracks. You know, he's won at Daytona. He won the duel earlier. We always see him leading laps here. It's usually a late race mistake or just pushing it too far that ends up costing him the win here. So I'm going to add the caveat. I'm not surprised that Austin was the one to win Talladega. I am surprised still that he's the first Team Penske car to win. The team as a whole, Austin included until this weekend, has not had the strength that we typically see out of the gate from all three of them.
So I'm going to ask you this question, and I was going to save it later in the show, but I'll be honest, it's filled my timeline. Is Talladega like NASCAR's Burning Man? I mean, it was like my timeline from Cletus running in the ARCA race to you know, the what do they call it? Influencers on the boulevard. Yeah. I felt like my timeline. I follow mostly NASCAR folks, so my timeline every weekend gets full, but it was like over full this weekend. So I'm labeling it NASCAR's Burning Man. Is that fair?
It's fair. And I don't want to say Talladega is back, because it never went away. Anytime you're at Talladega, it's a good time. It's a party. There's energy there. But to your point, for some reason this weekend, there was an extra buzz and extra energy. We also had Cletus in the ARCA race. Fans saw some great racing between yesterday's Xfinity Series race and the finish there. What they saw today, you know, there was a concert last night, Justin Moore. It was standing room only, packed. The Boulevard was busy all weekend. I know tons of people who are in this industry, who work in this industry, that made a point this weekend to have fun on the Boulevard when they weren't working. And so, everybody leaned in for some reason this weekend to this Talladega.
Sounds like Kim's got something on somebody. I don't know who it was.
I might have a couple things.
I never left North Carolina.
I might have heard some stories.
All right, I like it. All right, well, don't go anywhere. I'm going to get Jeff back in here. We're going to talk about the Toyotas and some other conversations, but we're going to bring Kim back in when we talk about some other issues, specifically pit road, craziness on pit road. So hang out there, Kim. We'll come back to you. Look at this. I got all the clicks. I can do it all. I can bring Jeffrey back in. Jeff, we talk about Cindric and his pit stop. That was how the race was won. Let's talk about how the race was lost. We never know how it's going to be lost. I'm going to start with The other, we just heard Kim say, Penske driver Austin Cindric. Okay, he's technically not a Penske driver. He's a Wood Brothers driver, but he did go to victory lane in what I call a Penske prepared Ford. I'm going to share my screen again and see if I'm smart enough to do this. Because I actually think, okay, so first of all, why I'm looking for my screen. You told me before the pit cycle, Penske does it better than everybody. How do you know it? How did you feel it? Just seeing it?
I just watched it for the last 3 years, and they just haven't figured out. They know when to pit. They do a great job of understanding the pace that the other packs are going to be running. They do a great job of predicting that. They do a great job of hitting pit road at the right time, of maximizing their pit road. They just do it better than everybody else. So until somebody, it's like them winning the championship. Until somebody shows me they can do it better than Penske, I'm going to keep going with them because they just do it over and over and over.
Well, I'm going to bring this up because this is Josh Berry. I'm back to my pit stop. If you're listening on the podcast, I apologize. This is the visual. This bottom row right here, position 28, car 21. I'm going to scroll to the left. I want you to look at this. Rolling time, 24.5, 24.3, 24.5. Once again, yellow on the yellow line. Oh, man. Stop 5. The money stop. Leader coming in. Pit stop 5.6. I can't speak to the pit stop. I don't know if there's a plug time or fuel required. I know he was leading, so it wouldn't shock me if it was fuel required. 23.9. I don't see another 23 on the board. If there is one, I haven't seen one. That's too fast. Next time down pit road is serving his penalty. So right here, rolling time. It's not yellow on the yellow line. It's loop lines. But the entire length of pit road, he had a crazy efficient time, and it ended up being too fast. I thought he was in position. But when we talk about Cindric winning, there was a driver who had a chance to win and just didn't execute on the final cycle.
He pitted the same lap as Austin Cindric. He pitted ahead of Austin Cindric. If he doesn't speed, if they have the same pit stop, he comes out in front of Austin Cindric and has a chance to win the race. So the reason I say that isn't to pick on Josh Berry. It's to explain how difficult it is. 10 speeding penalties. All right. Racing Insight guys, 10 speeding penalties. That's the most since 2019. Why? Because your rolling time is so important because of what we just saw Austin Cindric do. And when you're trying to maximize everything, you're trying to have the fastest rolling time, you are right on the edge of speeding. And so it's easy to say, well, they had a great pit stop and he did a good job on pit road. It's super hard to do. You watch these pit stops. We're talking about a half a second making a difference. So think about that. A guy with a fuel can's got to get it plugged in, get the right amount. Brian Wilson has to know exactly when to send him, the crew chief. All that's got to happen at the same time. We've seen the Gibbs guys with the iPad.
The iPad.
With as soon as the time goes off, it turns green and the drivers go. That's just an example of the teams trying to maximize their pace, maximize and when to leave. So this is the game. And by the way, this is a game everywhere. Pit stops matter. Rolling speed matters. Fast pit stops matter. It matters everywhere because if you can pick up spots on pit road versus losing spots on pit road, you have a much better day. And, quite simply, we saw the 21 in the same position that the 2 is in. One almost gets lapped because of a penalty and one wins the race. You have to maximize everything, but you also have to be dancing on the edge of breaking the rule if you're going to be successful.
First green flag stops at drafting tracks this year. We didn't see any in the 500, so this was a big no practice. I don't know if that really makes a big difference. I mean, rolling time, these guys have done it a whole lot. Let's talk Toyotas.
I think that does make a difference. I think that does make a difference because if you're trying to think about these 2 drivers, Austin Cindric and Josh Berry. Austin Cindric has pitted that car, driving this Penske car with the brakes, with everything. He knows exactly what to expect. Josh Berry doesn't. Right?
I agree. My counter is it's the last stop of the race.
I get it.
If it had been stop 1, I'd have been, I could have blamed the wreck maybe on not getting to pit road because of different entry speeds. But speeding from yellow line to yellow line, I don't know.
But from watching television, he smoked getting on pit road.
Oh yeah,
He
yeah.
had
So
a
to your
4 or
point, it
5
could be the
car
first
gap.
box. Yeah,
He
yeah,
had
yeah.
a
yeah.
4
I
or
see what you're
5
saying.
car gap getting on the
Yep.
pit road. So I'm gonna, that experience of driving that race car, because I know everybody thinks these cars are the same. They're not.
No.
Some people have better brakes than others, believe it or not. And so that lack of experience, I think, could have played a role in this situation.
Well, the one team that we'll never know, the Toyotas. So they were single file, run in the front of the field, doing what they do, burning gas. They come to pit road. I brought it up. I'm bringing it up one more time here. 2 to 3 seconds slower per Racing Insights. They need more fuel. We understand it. They're out there leading the race. The block heard around the world. D-Lo, I think we have the video. So let's bring it up and pause it for a minute. Okay, so I want everybody to understand what we're getting ready to go on, right? Okay, so we have this is the bigger view of this. So the 77 is leading a line of Toyotas. The 77 of Carson Hocevar, the 11 of Denny Hamlin, 35 of Riley Herbst. They are catching now cars that have already pitted, and they're trying to blend. They are passing Cole Custer, and as they catch Ross Chastain, a huge block by Chastain here. So you're going to see the 77, he threads through. The 11 has to get completely out of the gas. I think we have the in-car of the 11. That's the one I want everybody to listen in now. Listen to the throttle of Denny Hamlin. I mean, just dumps the gas. Wouldn't turn left, didn't go to the high or low. And now you see the 41 show back up. If you're on the podcast, basically we're talking about it, and now we're on board with Denny Hamlin. I don't know if they would have got all the way back to the front. That's impossible to say, but you can't regain momentum. Once it's gone, it's gone. Once the energy's spent, it's spent. I don't know if the say the one's not even there. Let's let them evaporate for a minute, Jeff. They definitely get 3 or 4 more cars. I mean, they're rolling the top lane with a head of speed. We don't know where that blends them in, but I mean, the 77 ends up what? He ends up finishing 8th. So say he gets 4 more cars. Right now they're 4th or 5th. We just don't know where it should be. I don't have a problem with what Chastain's doing here, actually. That's exactly what you should do. That's the defensive move. Nobody wrecked. I'm sure Denny's not happy with him, but I'm sure Denny would have done the same thing if he was in Ross's, spot. So I'm okay with it. But that, I think, was what derailed the Toyota strategy. I didn't love the strategy to begin with, as far as running hard and needing more fuel, but I'm okay with trying something, and they were committed to it, but it didn't work because it couldn't get through traffic. Yeah,
I don't think they would have gotten to the lead, but they would have gotten to the group and disrupted the flow. They wouldn't have been able to be single file. They would have disrupted the flow. They would have changed the energy. And then at that point, you have no idea what was going to happen. So I'm sure Denny Hamlin wasn't happy with that move. And, that's a generational thing. I don't think Denny would have done that. I think Denny, my generation, like if you did that when the race is over, that somebody's going to be in your face. But this generation is a little different because track position is so much more important. And we heard him on the broadcast make a comment about, Harvick said that's just kind of what you got to do in today's time. And he's right. At the same time, if I'm Denny, I'm mad. I'm like, well, dude, like pick a line, stay in a lane, right? But with everything we've talked about how important track position is, what Chastain was doing right there, was just trying to give them only the lane that they needed, no more. That's all he was trying to give them, was just a lane. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think that Hamlin, because of the view that he can't exactly see through the 77 car. I think he knew he was there, but I think he was shocked about where he was.
Right.
You're lower than I thought. He had, you know what I mean? I think if he had known that the one was going to be there, he could have maneuvered it a little bit better. I think he was surprised at where the one car was.
Paige brings up, I hadn't confirmed this, so I'm going to take Paige at face value because I've seen it in a couple different texts here that the 11 was short on fuel because of fueling issues. So I have to look into that.
He finished 23rd though. I had seen that he was short on fuel.
Maybe he had to ride around in the back just saving gas.
Yeah. But at that time, he didn't know he was short on fuel.
No. At that time, he thought he was going to be okay.
He wasn't going slow right then.
Yeah, for sure. I do have a bone to pick with this one fan. Like, you don't get off with free right here. When pit stops determine runners, I think he means winners. We got to look at the car and the racing. Yeah, so I disagree. You know, you don't like extra points? I mean, I don't know. You don't like, I mean, it's okay if you don't like it. Let me just, let me make sure I don't want to pick on this fan. If the fan doesn't like it, I'm not going to tell a fan what they should and shouldn't like. Every fan has their own right, but that's racing. Like, that's how it works. So speaking of pit road, let's bring Kim back in here.
Hey, Steve,
I want to talk
quick.
pit road.
Steve, I'm sorry. How'd you
that?
win Pocono with Dale Jr.?
Yeah. Once with a really fast race car and once with a really good pit choice.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait. So strategy mattered then?
Yeah, strategy did.
Really?
It's undefeated.
It's just not now?
It's just not now.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Don't tell everybody, but in 05, when we won at Martinsville with Jeff Gordon, we stayed out there too. But everybody wants it. That was 19 years ago, but 20 years ago. God, I'm old.
There was one race that you and I had the same strategy. We were
Richmond, one yellow.
Richmond's, and we looked really good until the caution didn't come out.
Dude,
we're going to win.
So you guys were leading. I think we were second. Isn't that right?
Sure.
I can't remember who was leading. We were running 1-2. And we stay out one of those Richmond deals with, I don't know, 60, 70 to go. It was like a pit cycles used to be like this all the time. And we stay out and my engineer hits me and he goes, we can't make it on gas. I'm like, there's no way this thing runs green. What a stupid comment. This thing rode and rode and rode and rode. Finally, I was like, well, damn, that 31 better not make it if I don't make it. Nope, sure enough. We both pitted with like 7 to go at Richmond. That was a long, quiet ride home. Dale was great about it. He sat there next to me. He looked at me once and he was like, you knew we needed a caution, didn't you? I said, I did. He goes, okay. That was the last thing we said about it the whole way home. So, all right here. I'm going to bring this stat back up before I bring in 10 speeding penalties, 6 under green. So Kim Coon back from Talladega. Kim, you look, I'm going back to your initial comments. I was trying to see if you were firsthand on the boulevard. So you sat back there for a good 20 minutes and you look bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. So if I know you, you're a foodie though, and you love Birmingham. So you had to be in the food district of Birmingham.
Yeah, I did the foodie thing in Birmingham. I stayed off the boulevard at night. I did go through with my car in the early morning hours.
I love that. A coffee drive is sometimes the best.
It's better sometimes than the late night there.
That's if you ever wanted a good burner account on X, Kim, you should start one. It could just be the morning after on the boulevard. You can just ride through there with your coffee and there's like just miscellaneous stuff strewn everywhere.
Well, my favorite is like after all the campers are out, like midweek, this coming week, like lost and found stuff.
Oh, I've seen this. It's like a couch at one point.
It's the most random stuff.
It's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk pit road. Chaos really on pit road. Speeding. We had cars hitting each other.
Everything.
Well, cars hitting pit crew members, the whole 9 yards. Was it down in person? Did it feel like a normal race, or what was the deal? Listening to all the drivers, what they have to say?
Yeah, it's interesting because D'Lo and I were talking offline before we go. When he's never been there in person during pit stops and stuff, and he said, is it tense down there? I said, no, like it's pretty laid back. Like the vibe is normal. I mean, they kind of have to be ready to go for a longer period because that window when the green flag stops happen is longer as they wait there to get their drivers grouped together. But like people just kind of are casual on pit road because they know the intensity doesn't pick up till 15, 10, 5 laps to go. But here's what I'm going to chalk it up to. And maybe this is not the right thing. Maybe Talladega wasn't the best race to have right after a break. I just don't know because we saw every type of mistake. We were talking about speeding penalties, but we saw him crashing coming to pit road. We saw Suarez sliding through the box. We saw guys spinning coming off pit road, those speeding penalties. We saw drivers or pit crew members getting hit by tires, equipment being removed from the box, literally every possible mistake being made. And it even got down to the final, money stop. And I was like, surely they're done. Like, surely we've seen as many mistakes as we're going to see all day and everything's going to be clean. And then we had the 8 and the 21, Kyle Busch and Josh Berry with late mistakes speeding. So it was like, again, maybe we just chalk it up to like knocking the rust off after they've been.
So I think they all know it's the moment, right? So Jeff and I, we were watching on TV. We knew it was going to be the pit cycle. So no offense to Jeff and I, but, we're retired. So if we knew it was going to be the pit cycle, everyone on pit road knew it was going to be the pit cycle as well, right? Every driver knew that was the thing. That's what I kind of chalk it up to, right? It's kind of like a free throw in practice or an extra point in practice versus when it really, really matters. And they all matter in the race. But then I think when you come to Talladega, everyone knows that the winner barring one of the big wrecks or a block gone wrong, it comes down to the pit cycle. So I think everyone, it's not as flashy because we're not changing tires, but gas can's 100 pounds. Drivers know that we were just looking at, tenths of a second. I just think the magnifying glass is turned up, and that's what's forcing everybody to try to chase all they can get.
Sure, and then you throw in like they don't have practice, so they're they can't practice hot entry and all that kind of thing. I think it's just the sum of all of the things we've just mentioned.
Yeah.
And I mean, great. And I think it gets overlooked because, these are the best race car drivers in the world. Like green flag stops are hard, and they're very hard at a place where the speeds on the track are so high and so incredible. Like this is not easy. They make it look easy when they do it right, especially the choreography of multiple cars pitting at once under green. Like we have to give these guys some credit on how challenging it is. And I know Jeff can speak to that. Like green flag stops are not easy.
No, they're not.
We see wrecks all the time on green flag stops, right? This isn't at Daytona, Talladega. This isn't unusual to see this right here. I mean, I would say in a third of the races, we see this.
So do you think, Jeff, the 6 was coming to pit road and just was taken back at the closing rate versus the cars in front of him? Or do you think he was getting run over from behind from the 8?
Yes, I think that he was. I think he was getting run over from behind from the 8, and that was a little confusing. We talk a lot about the visibility. So you cannot see what's going on in front of the car that you're following. Like, watch how fast this happens. Like, there's no vision about what's going on to the left. And if the timing gets off by just a little bit, this is the end result. So, it's just not having everybody synced up and somebody just not judging the closing rate like it needs to be, surprised at how slow they are. Just all it takes is just a little bit of something to kind of knock you off your rhythm. And next thing you know, you're either spinning or into the back of someone. And we've seen the best drivers make these mistakes. It's not easy to do.
I mean, it's just, look, they get stacked. I thought Blaney was the best because Blaney was like, oh, man, that's a perfect example of how close it can be getting to pit road. Blaney just said, hey, I knew they were wrecking. I thought they were going right, so I swung left. John Hunter leaving pit road. That was a little odd one to me from entry to exit. Let's bring the one up on exit. We didn't get a real good shot at it. I think we're on board with him right here. Whew. They said fluid between the double yellow line. I didn't see anything on TV. Kim, did you hear anything about drivers talking about that on the radio? I didn't.
I didn't hear anything, but I mean, there's 40 radios. Not to say that somebody couldn't mention it.
I hear you. All right, Kim. Well, I appreciate it. Appreciate you joining. Appreciate the update. Glad that the food scene was good in Birmingham, as it always is. Remember, you're in charge of our social when we go there in the fall. You have to get at the reservations.
I do want to add one thing. Like, if you've never been to Talladega, yes, we've talked about the boulevard and stuff, but if you've never seen cars go 4 wide for 8, 9 rows deep, everybody was on their feet, and it happened early. We saw it throughout the race, but like lap 4, it was incredible.
Real quick, then I want to ask you about this because I have this question in my brain. I know they're, quote, saving fuel, which means they're running, I don't know, 182 miles an hour instead of 188, right? It's still ridiculously fast.
So
Being there in person, you have no idea, right?
No.
Like when you look out, it's total chaos.
Yeah. And I had a note here, and we never got to it because I was going to mention it. If you're there in person, even if you're watching on TV, unless somebody is telling you they're partial throttle, they're 70% throttle, they're going this miles per hour, we're seeing this, that. If you have no idea that that's happening, I beg to argue that you do not know the difference when they are going full throttle versus 85% in terms of what we're seeing on track. Like, you would not know looking at that.
Yeah.
What percentage throttle they're going. And in person, for sure not. You're taking in all the sights, the sounds, like the engines are roaring. You're seeing guys 4 wide, again, 8, 9 rows deep. Like, you have no idea that they are saving. You just don't.
No, it's crazy. Well, we appreciate it. Thanks for joining.
Yep.
We're going to let Kim off the hook. She has to travel because Jeff and I were at home already. So we talk about the danger of 3 and 4 wide on the racetrack. Danger on pit road. This was a close one. I kind of want to break this all down. So it's a little bit of a stack up. We have Cindric in the pits, Hocevar coming around Cindric, and I can't remember who's coming around Hocevar, and ends up hitting his tire. 21, I believe it is. So trying to think about the best. There you go. So this is on board with a 21. Boom. Oh, I'm going to back that up a little bit. I mean, the hood buckles. Watch the left front buckle. Bam. Hits the tire that the tire carrier is holding, which throws the tire carrier onto the hood. Thank goodness we heard from this pit crew member during the race, so no injuries. Do we have a good view outside the car, D'Lo? Because I think what happens is this is a big stack up, right? So here's the 77. Oh, man, there's a shot. Grabbing his hip. I'm going to tell you, tough as nails. Look at this. Got to find his tire. He gets over. They roll it to him. I mean, this is you want to talk about brave. Just got helped by a 3,500-pound race car, and he still finishes the pit stop. Very impressive. So I know they kind of said Hocevar was wide, which he absolutely is. But I think he gets a little wide because he has to come around Menard. I keep wanting to call him Menard. You see right there the two of Cindric. So he has the same problem because Cindric's crew is jumping out. So I think Hocevar is so worried about this tire carrier right here. You're looking at it. If we stop right here and look, okay, stay right here. If you're on in the podcast, I apologize. I'm going to talk for the YouTube folks. Looking off the car of Carson Hocevar, the gentleman to the left carrying 2 tires, that is Cindric's tire carrier. So he can't really get too far left. And then you see that orange line that NASCAR uses. That's kind of a guide for Hocevar. So if we roll it forward slowly, I think he does okay. I think what he doesn't do right at this point is he needs to really keep going left. I think he's worried about trying to get out around the 21. You know what I mean, Jeff, knowing he's coming in next. So he doesn't really get deep in his box because he's worried about being blocked in. This is just the dangers of pit road. I don't put this on Hocevar. I don't put it on Barry. I don't put it on Cindric. I actually think the majority of drivers do the best they can to avoid crew members at all costs. I'm shocked this doesn't happen more, but I think this is just the simple fact of stacking 3 cars in a row coming in at once.
No question, and you said it 100% right. Hocevar is knowing that if he gets into his pit box as deep as he needs to, clear the tire carrier on the Menards car, clear him. Get in at the angle that he needs to get in. He's getting too deep. He is going to now have to wait for the 21 to leave, and he's going to have a slow pit stop. So this is all, and he knows this coming down pit road. He knows the 2 is coming. He knows all of it, and he's trying to prepare for it. And it's very difficult to do. What in retrospect, what he will be told to do in the future is stay out a little wider, come in at a sharper angle, then try to get the car turned out. But you're doing this while trying to maximize rolling time that we've been talking about that since the beginning of the show. So we see this all the time, not with people getting hurt or hit, but we see drivers too deep in their box, not deep enough in their box. And generally it's because of what happened behind them or what they're trying to avoid by what's in front of them. If you know the guy in front of you is pitting and he's 4 or 5 cars in front of you and you're both doing 4 tires, then you have confidence to get in your box deep because that guy as long as he has a decent pit stop, should leave before you. But if he's coming in after you, then you have no choice but to stop short or get the car, come in at a sharper angle, turn the car to the right, and still stop short. All the while, you're trying not to block the guy from behind you at the same time. Everybody's trying to work together on pit road. And you said it best. It just was 3 cars on pit road, and the sequence of them on pit road was worst case scenario. That was the worst possible way it could have been. Had the lead car come in first, the second car come in second, the third car come in third, all that would have been much easier. Instead, the opposite happened, and that just throws the sequence off.
A lot of other stuff to cover. How about Q or D-Lo? Do we have fastest lap? Who had the fastest lap today? I didn't see it. There you have it. McDowell, lap 120. All right. I knew this was going to have a lot of movement today. You could kind of sit back, pull back. 120. So that has to be coming to the end of stage 2.
I got one for you.
All right, what's that?
Anthony Alfredo.
Man, how about Alfredo? He ran
Like,
good.
I know that they put him out there kind of in a no-win situation if the caution doesn't come out at the right time. But, man, he got out front, and he wasn't going to give it up. He was blocking both lanes, 3 lanes. Did a great job of managing his lead. Didn't give it up. Didn't do anything stupid. Did a good job, and it was fun to see a guy like that lead so many laps, run in the front. That was fun. Like that was to me a fun part of the race, where that's kind of what Talladega is about, right? Is you get a driver that's not as well known, doesn't have as much experience, driving for a team that doesn't, typically have a chance to win races. Doesn't just run a limited schedule, basically the speedway races. I do think they're going to run a couple cup races here coming up, not speedway races, but good on them. I mean, good job.
How about this stat? Most laps the 62 car has led since the Old Dominion in 1958. I'm going to tell you, I like to find some stuff, but I like that one right there.
Well, I mean, where did they even come up with that?
I'm telling you. Well, nobody can fact check them. Like, who else is going to check them?
That's a great point. Maybe they're not right.
How about let's talk? I got a couple names I want to get through right here. No big one today, just by chance. I mean, I saw a lot of ones that could have been big ones. I'm thankful there wasn't. I thought the race had just as much of, just as much beating as banging as ever. I thought Clint, I think, pointed out like 2 or 3 times Bubba was a little late on his blocks, and I'm only picking on him because he showed up on Fox. But it was, there was a couple that could have been a big one.
Yeah, I'm like you. I don't need the big one. That doesn't. I don't need that for entertainment. I got another name for you. That somebody that earlier this year was talking. Didn't know how to speedway race. Couldn't figure out how to get done. Kyle Larson ran 3rd.
Yeah. Well, what about Preece? Is it okay that I was cheering a little bit for Preece? The poor guy's been upside down so many times. I was like, man, it'd be okay if he won it. So I was cheering for Preece a little bit. So Preece, Larson 3rd, to your point. Great, clean super speedway race.
Yep. Good 1st and 3rd in stages for Larson. So, so for somebody that doesn't know how to speedway race, doing pretty good.
I got Alex Bowman on the hot start, 6 top 10 of the 25, tied for his most in a season after 10 races. So a great start. William Byron, consistent 500 winner, right? So he's now back inside the top 5. I mean, they were the normal Joey Logano, kind of the normal suspects. Noah Gregson's a good run. Chase had a quiet day in 7th. Hocevar, we talked about the big block. Bubba, a little quieter than I thought, even though he had a stage win. Bubba's sometimes up there dicing it up a little bit. Didn't, not good or bad, just kind of a little quieter than expected. I don't know. Everybody else, I mean, it feels like the guys that I thought normally kind of sneak around in there. McDowell, Stenhouse, Custer, Gilliland, Ty Gibbs. He was kind of on the wrong side of that Toyota strategy. He needed a little bit of gas. So wasn't Eric Jones. I give the Toyotas credit. They communicated well and they did it all together. I mean, I'll give them credit on that.
That's not going to make them feel better.
No, I know. It just makes me feel better.
Team effort.
All right. This one here might actually jump out more than the other one. Joey Logano's first top 5. Shocking to me. 10 races. We've already discussed where we think that's going to go, because I think this much like any good stat will tell you that 1 out of 3 pigs will build their house out of brick, right? I mean, Joey Logano is just, he is the guy that will figure it out when the season goes. But today was Austin Cindric, 3rd career win. Now he's won Daytona 500 and Talladega. He won last year at Gateway. 30 starts between his wins. So, technically it doesn't lock him into the playoffs, but in my mind it does. A win, you're in. It would take something crazy to have that many winners. I don't know. I don't know what else I want to say other than you said it was going to be great on the cycle. He did it great on the cycle, and then he just drove a really, really good race, clean around the bottom, received the push as well, kept the wheels straight, got a little fortunate, and got to the line first.
It was a good all-around race, and I really enjoyed the race. I was in Talladega this weekend. The crowd, Kilms talked about it. It was great environment. Always is great environment. Those race fans down there, man, they absolutely love it. Dirt track race right across the street. Just a fun weekend. And today was good. Today was a really good race. Not the big one didn't happen. Now some big impacts. Certainly.
Wow, can we talk about that one with Bell? With the wall turning out
and
down
Busch
there
are
on the
both.
backstretch?
Bell and Busch are both big hits.
And you know, shame on me when I saw Zilich hit yesterday on the backstretch. I don't know. I was watching the end of the race. I didn't even. That was another big hit. For smaller, and when I mean smaller, I mean number of cars smaller. Let's say reduced number of car accidents. Big hits. Thankfully, all the cars stayed on the ground, but that Bell hit, it was crazy. I mean, they weren't even at full speed yet, and that thing just spit right off the nose of the 11.
Yeah, we I don't know, those Toyotas, we saw they played some great strategy. Was it last year they played the strategy and they were going to end up with the lead, and they wrecked each other, wrecked each other getting into turn 3, and then today wrecked each other, not on purpose, trying to push each other, but they wrecked each other. Chris Buescher was the innocent victim in that deal. All of them trying to work, all of them trying to push, and I don't know. Harvick talked about the point of the nose of the Toyotas may not be good pushers, but if you're Chris Buescher right here, I mean, what are you thinking? Like, I'm sitting here, I'm in a good position. Next thing I know, I'm going the wrong direction. These are 2 big hits.
Man, look at the front of that 20 car.
Yeah.
This shot right here. I hate even watching it, but watch this thing shorten up.
Yeah, just that angle of that wall. They're gonna end up changing that. There's some complications in changing it, but they're gonna end up changing that. It's pretty difficult what they got to do to change it, but they'll do what they need to do. We're in an era where NASCAR and the racetracks have been showing the willingness to do it, and I'm sure when we go back in the fall, it'll look different than that.
It was crazy. It was crazy. Well, buddy, I appreciate it. It's going to be good. It was a good race. We got a whole 189 days straight, right, from this to the end of the year. So we're going to have a race every single weekend.
It's going to be some tempers flaring. I have a feeling in August and September when it's hot, people are going to be tired. Playoffs are going to be looming. Pressure's going to be on. Get ready.
All right, man. Appreciate you coming on.
Enjoyed it.
Well, folks, post Talladega in the books. This was another NASCAR Inside the Race. If you do listen on the podcast, I appreciate you subscribing and listen each and every week. If you're here on YouTube, I appreciate all the questions. That's what makes it happen. This is supposed to be a fan interactive show, so I love all the comments in the fan section. Remember, we're available every single week after the race. Network goes off air, we come on air. That's the goal. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the race. We have different contributors each and every week. We're even looking at having some guests, hopefully in the future. Maybe some drivers will join us, maybe a crew chief, who knows who will drop by. But we appreciate you dropping by. This has been another NASCAR Inside the Race.